You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, B&B fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt here, and we got to talk about Ridge Forrester's pushy attitude where his daughter, Steffy Forrester, is concerned. Yes, there's fatherly worry there, but then there's also some cruelty, and many fans think Ridge has crossed the line. Will he contribute to the breakdown of Steffy's marriage with his out-of-control mouth? Let's talk about it, but first, please click subscribe if you have not already. Ridge didn't even try for sensitivity when talking to Finn last week or this week either. Last week, Ridge said Sheila Carter was an animal that deserved to be put down. And he said it right in front of Finn. Yes, she shot Finn and Steffy, but in the end, Sheila is not an animal. She's a person. Even the worst person is still a person, right? They still have their humanity. And yes, Ridge is entitled to his opinion, but you need to read the room before you open your mouth. That's a comment he could have held on to for when it was just him and Steffy, or him and literally anyone else but a biological child of Sheila's or Sheila's boyfriend. Just don't say it to those two people. It's no small thing for someone to take a life, and especially the life of the parent of their spouse. But Ridge, to me, is out of control right now. I feel like, yeah, he wants to protect Steffy, but he's not in charge of this situation. When Ridge told Deputy Chief Baker it's self-defense, case closed, I felt that was pretty high-handed. Ridge doesn't get to close a police case. You know, maybe the dressmaker has some sort of delusions about himself and his power since he was playing undercover cop games with Bill Spencer last year. And by the way, Steffy would never have been in the position to have to put a knife into Sheila if not for Ridge and Bill's stupid little game. And yes, Deacon's judge friend let Sheila off, but the law was on her side. You just can't start surveillance on somebody hoping to find out there's a crime to prosecute them for. Generally, to get a warrant, you have to prove to a judge that there was a crime committed and you're gathering evidence to prosecute for the crime, not that you want to see if a crime was committed. Cops can't use surveillance as a fishing expedition. There's laws against that to protect everybody, not just Sheila Carter's of the world. The whole Bill, Ridge, Sheila thing was, to me, just bad writing. It was a dumb plot set up to get her out of prison. It's like they write something and they paint someone into a corner, and then they have to do bad writing to try and undo their past writing that they shouldn't have written to start. It's an endless circle of mediocrity sometimes, I think, in that writer's room. So just by the way, I am still not convinced Sheila's dead, but that's a separate conversation. We'll see how it goes. I think it was sugar. We'll see. Finn is really trying to reconcile a lot of things right now, though. He knows his mom certainly was a dangerous woman. She had a potential for danger, but she was, being pretty chill. She was just working her job. And as she told Steffy, I'm just living my little life. And she said hello to Kelly when Kelly was brought into the restaurant to eat lunch. That's literally all Sheila did. Now, you can say she didn't have the right to say hello to a customer, but I think it was incumbent on Steffy and Liam to tell anybody that has their kids, hey, don't take them to Il Giardino, right? That's where she works. Just don't go there, right? Finn also knows that Steffy marched herself into Deacon and Sheila's home, pushed her way inside, and punched his mom in the face before they brawled. And Sheila asked her to leave. She did put her hand on her arm to escort her out of the house. That was all completely within the law. If somebody's in your house and you ask them to leave, you can use a certain amount of force to get them out. And she wasn't forcing Steffy. She wasn't hurting her. She did put a hand on her arm and say, leave. And also Finn didn't like hearing Steffy say she wanted Sheila dead, and then Sheila was suddenly dead at Steffy's hand. It seemed very coincidental, or not coincidental at all. Viewers know it was self-defense. We saw it. But when Finn talked to Hope, the words he used about Sheila, he said she was murdered in my house by my wife. Murder is a strong word, especially after Steffy told him it was self-defense. So clearly he's struggling psychologically. His psyche is struggling with this whole horrible situation. He wants to be there for Steffy, who's upset about taking a life. I thought it was interesting that Hope told Finn basically, go home, be there for your wife. And things were actually going well until Steffy initiated sex, basically 5 feet from where his mother bled out, where the blood stain is literally still wet. I felt that was kind of insensitive. Like Steffy, I think, was thinking strictly about herself and what she needed in that moment, and not about Finn and maybe what he needed in that moment. They did seem to reach an understanding until she initiated that physical action. Why not at least throw a towel over the blood stain? Surely there's a tarp in the garage. All right, but back to Ridge. He yelled at Deacon that Sheila got what she deserved, and I would totally expect that Deacon will repeat that to Finn. Deacon called Ridge cruel, and I have to agree. You can protect and defend your daughter without being so harsh about a person's death. To say that someone deserves to die. I think it's fair to say, they deserve life in prison, but to revel in someone's death, that's kind of next level. It was kind of ironic that Steffy said Sheila broke in and then refused to leave, because if you asked Sheila, that's probably what she would say Steffy did, because Steffy pushed her way into Sheila's apartment and then adamantly refused to leave. I know B&B is doing these things in a parallel way on purpose to try and draw comparisons. And after Deacon left, Finn showed up, and that's when Ridge should have just excused himself and left without saying anything else, because he'd already said enough. But he didn't. He decided instead to behave worse than he did before. Ridge had zero sympathy for Finn struggling to deal with the loss of the woman who gave birth to him. Given that Ridge himself has a complicated parental backstory, being the son of Massimo Moroni, he could stretch his little brain to realize that you do have feelings about your birth parents, no matter what kind of people they were, what kind of relationship you have. Their death will affect you no matter what. I had a very neglectful father that abandoned me when I was 10. I grew up with him being an alcoholic, and then he took off. He's still alive. I am certain when he dies, I will be sad about it, even though I haven't seen him for a good long while because of him. It will affect me. I know that. And similarly, just anybody, the death of your parent is going to affect you, even if you were estranged, even if they're a bad person. Finn is going through this grieving process, and he doesn't even himself understand why he's feeling what he is, but he's feeling it. That's the bottom line. And Ridge doesn't think Finn is entitled to those feelings. This is the same Ridge that wanted to unplug Eric Forrester rather than giving him a chance. It's not like Ridge has any kind of moral compass himself. I don't think so. He's a waffle boy who has lied, cheated, and done plenty of bad things. He even shoved Bill Spencer off a balcony. He's done a myriad of bad deeds, and he cannot find any grace to offer to his son-in-law, who's clearly grieving. The son-in-law, mind you, who has never betrayed Steffy, never cheated on her, never hurt her, and who saved Eric's life recently. If anybody on this soap deserves a little bit of grace, it is Dr. John Finnegan, in my opinion. He forgave Steffy for sleeping with Liam and the whole baby Hayes paternity mess. If she had ever come clean about kissing Liam, I know Finn probably would have forgiven that too. Finn gives the Forresters, including his wife, constant grace and forgiveness. And Ridge, I feel, is going to be part of what drives a wedge between Finn and Steffy, whether he's doing it intentionally or not. Right now, I think Ridge is being callous, but I don't think he's actively trying to ruin their marriage. But with Finn walking out that door away from Steffy again, I think Ridge might get pushier about Finn. I can totally see Ridge deciding and even telling Steffy, I think Liam's the better man for you. I've said this before, Ridge and Liam are charter members of the International Waffler Society. And on the most recent episode this week, you're going to see Liam there comforting Steffy after Finn walks out because Finn is confused, he's upset, he's grief-stricken. And then later this week, Liam gets in Finn's face and tells him he's going to be there for Steffy if Finn will not. This all seems to be setting the stage for either a Liam-Steffy reunion or a very active love triangle with Steffy being drawn to both men. Right now, Steffy's feeling fragile, and Finn can't deal with her feelings and his own, standing in the room with, 5 gallons of his mom's blood or however many are in your body. I don't know if there's a gallon. I think there's 8 quarts, something like that, maybe 2 gallons. Anyway, totally understandable feelings. It's a horror show in that house right now. Things are going to get more complicated, I expect, when the police report comes back with Sheila having no weapons on her and the house showing no signs of forced entry. The optics on this scene are bad, even though we do know it was self-defense. And I think Liam being a sympathetic shoulder to cry on could make a real dent in Steffy's marriage. She's upset, she's fragile, she's looking for comfort, and guess who's there? Her waffling other baby daddy. And honestly, I could totally see Ridge flat out telling Steffy Liam's a better choice for her because Finn can't let go of this Sheila thing. Despite the fact Liam has cheated on Steffy, broken her heart, walked out while she was pregnant and literally on the ground, clinging to his leg, begging him not to leave her, Liam walked away. And I think Ridge may still decide that Liam's a better match for her. We'll see how it goes. But the bottom line, Ridge could have advocated for Steffy without crapping on Finn and dismissing and belittling his grief. He could have saved his nasty comments for a different set of ears, but he decided to slap at Finn. That's not going to be good for Steffy's marriage. I don't think so one bit. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please click subscribe if you haven't indefinitely. Come back soon. We're here talking bold and the beautiful 7 days a week. And as always, I am Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.